Sweet. Thank you, Nell, and for everybody. My name is Jacob Schaff, and I am this year's NASW Student Series intern. So it's great to be here with you all. Welcome to our December Student Series event, and thank you for joining us tonight. Today, our event is about resume writing and graduate school essays, and we are very lucky to have our four panelists with us tonight. I think Fatimata may be having some technical issues, but oh, no, there she is. Got it. But we are very lucky to have them with us tonight. Our panelists have a variety of experiences. And so to start off the panel, I'd love it if you'd each just introduce yourselves, your experiences, where you currently work, and how you kind of help students transition through education and the field.
So Jacob,
Right.
why don't you pick somebody to start us off?
Sarah, could you start us off, please?
Sure. Good evening. I'm Sarah Vienne. I am the Director of Social Work at Upstate Medical University in Syracuse, New York. This is quite a mouthful, this question, so I'll do my best to answer each segment of the question. I've been in the social work field for almost 20 years, and I have worked in adult home settings, nursing home settings, acute hospital settings, and outpatient crisis and substance use services settings. And within those settings have had internships and opportunities to support social workers grow in their careers as well, which is very exciting to me to see that and support that growth and just sharing experiences and support, different opportunities and experiences through those different settings. Your next question, your third question was how we support those settings. Jacob, will you
Yes.
Okay. So here at Upstate, we're a teaching hospital. So we're in a unique setting here. We can offer and really show the social work field across the lifespan and across the healthcare setting. So we have 3 different hospital settings: a children's hospital, a trauma center, and a community hospital. And then we also have social work services within our ambulatory clinics, about 27 ambulatory clinics, and we service about 20 counties. So our diversity of patients and population is very wide, which is a unique place. I love medical work and social work, and we're able to just utilize or explore, public health policy and social work practice and how policy interacts, which is interesting to us. So we host internships here from several different institutions. We offer individual supervision and group supervision, and we also encourage our staff and our interns to seek education opportunities where they can present and obtain CEUs themselves. So that's always fun to support interns with that. So we're again a education setting here, so it's always fun to learn from other disciplines and work with an multidisciplinary team.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I also posted the first part of the question in the chat. Maybe that'll be easier to reference. I know it's a little long-winded, so.
No, you're fine. So good evening, everyone. My name is Makisha Brown. I am from Albany, New York. I currently work at the University at Albany School of Social Welfare's Field Education Office. Hi. Like Sarah, I think it's 20 years since I've graduated from my social welfare program. I've had some worked with many agencies like domestic violence, schools, some internships were with a family resource center, so families in the community, but most of my work has been in higher education. So I was about for 10 plus years, I was a coordinator and an assistant coordinator of TRIO Student Support Services. So to all my TRIO alum, So I helped first generation college students graduate from college. So that was my where I've been up in the Uptown campus, and then I moved back home to school of social welfare. So that's how I ended up here. So for all my students, you were always wondering where you're going to begin, where you're going to end. It's ever evolving. Okay, so I never thought I would be where I am now, but it is a great opportunity. Especially as how I help students. I love helping students from undergrad and now more so graduate students. So I am in charge of doing career workshops like this. So I help my students in the field office with updating their resumes, bringing social workers from the community to critique it, to give them some advice, because many times our students, I think sometimes you don't believe us in an administrative team in your schools when we were like, this is what you need, but you kind of have more of an impact from those who are in the fields, which is okay. So I bring those in the field, and then we do how to do the job search, how to what is it, look for a job, bargaining, right, negotiating salary, etc. So that's how I help. And I'm just also, I'm alum. I've been there. I understand. So open door to my students, or if you guys want to reach out just to have questions, because being first generation, sometimes it's lonely. You don't know where to go, what questions, and where to go and where to turn sometimes. So, and I think that's it. I'll turn it over.
Thank you, Nakisha.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Two devices. So my name is Fatumata Kamara. I'm a social worker at the Gerwin Healthcare Systems. We are currently not working with any particular school because of COVID and because we work with the geriatric population. So they're more at risk of getting sick from like outside sources, but I'm working with the administration right now to bring back a field placement option within the agency. I'm highly recommending it and I'm advocating for it. So if anyone is interested, I'm here.
Fatimata was an intern at NASW New York State last year, and yeah, was an awesome intern. So just a shout out to interns. And Heather was on the call. You saw her for a moment there. I think that she's been having connection difficulties. But Heather is a professor at UAlbany, and also is, does a lot of the hiring and also some of the sort of on a sort of PhD review committee as well at UAlbany. So has a lot to sort of say to this area, and does a lot of workshops as well on writing and social work and the sort of intersection as well. So if she comes back in, or if she, oh, here we spotlight. Here's Heather. Hey, did you hear it? Okay. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Do you want me to answer the questions?
Yeah, yeah.
I was logged off for a minute, so I kind of missed.
Oh.
Okay, got it. Okay, just give me 1 second.
Yeah, just sort of
Oh, now the questions that you put in the chat disappeared because I logged back in. But
yeah, if you'd like to introduce yourself, your experiences, where you work, and how you sort of help students through their.
I thought you were saying.
Yeah. Okay. Anything
I
else?
apologize for the lag, everybody. If it's really gets bad, I might turn off my camera. But if you can hear me, can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, why don't you turn off your camera and we can kind of. Yeah.
Okay.
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 Is this any better, Heather? Okay.
I
Jake-
can hear you, but I just feel like you can't hear me.
Oh, we can hear you much better with the video off.
And now, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna talk. I don't, if you can't. Okay. I'm so sorry, everybody. I'm so sorry. So my name is Heather Horton. I work at SUNY Albany. I'm on the faculty. I teach a writing course, which will come in handy for tonight's workshop, but I also read a lot of applications and support a lot of people who are applying for all different kinds of opportunities, including grad school. And so, yeah, I think, you know, I hope I can become a better and better mentor. I like to support students and kind of just be there for people with questions about grad school, especially the PhD program, but also MSW. And yeah, I don't have much to do with field, but I do have a lot to do. I teach human behavior in the social environment. I teach evaluation of clinical practice in the master's program. I teach a course on depression. So yeah, I have a lot of experience working with students and I'm really happy to be here. And again, I apologize for the lag.
No worries at all. And thank you everyone for being here with us tonight. I know that was just a series, a jumble, little bit of a long-winded response, but to start kind of kick things off into gear, I'm just gonna go with our first question that students were interested in hearing about tonight. So in terms of skills and qualities, what are social work hiring managers and field instructors typically looking for in a potential candidate? And how can these be effectively conveyed in a resume or essay? I will post this in the chat as well.
So I will speak. Hello?
Yeah.
Okay. So being a recent graduate, so I will speak for the students and undergraduate student standpoint. I would say communication and organizational skills are a very, very big skills to have, especially because as social workers, when you're coming into the field, you have to be able to communicate with various interdisciplinary team members, but also to be able to communicate and convey your messages clearly to families, because you can communicate with various type of family members. There are those who are patient, those who are not patient at all. So if you don't have communication skills, it's going to be very difficult for you to work with them. And organizational skills, as far as when you're a social worker, you can get quickly overwhelmed if you don't have organizational skills like time management and everything. So those are two very big things that you need to have. And you can highlight these on your resume or personal essays by highlighting some of the big things that you worked on. As far as communication, you can use action verbs like I engage with, if you're doing field placement, if you engage with people like in the community, you can highlight that. Or if you work with Congress members or people in different teams, you can highlight all of that just to show that you have communication skills.
Thank you, Fatima. I think I believe, especially for fields and when you're about to graduate, I think the action verbs and being able to highlight your transferable skills that you have learned in all your experience. Because many of us, I think, as we try to hire new social workers, we want to make sure that you're open and trainable. Usually we do like clean slates. That's okay, but we just don't want to hear answer phones, spoke to clients, so you have to use the action verbs. Even if I helped a student, they did not get their first field placement due to their resume. I helped them tailor their what they did at Home Depot, because they had limited human services experience. However, they did help with conflict resolution. They did help with working with teams. They did work with communication, etc. So it's about highlighting what you do and translate it to our profession, and just being open and sincere. So I thank you for that. But organization is key. Time management is key. Checking your emails is key. And communication as well.
I would agree. I mean, communication, when we look at these skills, when you're writing your resume and reaching out or applying for an internship or a job, or, the way that your resume is written can show your organizational skills. The way that you write your personal statement can identify your documentation skills, and your critical thinking skills. And so how are you able to prioritize and adapt and be flexible and build those relationships just by communicating with that hiring manager, initially, that first communication, returning phone calls, following up on emails. I think those are just some skills that we don't think about when we're trying to build this perfect resume and perfect interviewing presentation, that everything that's going on in that resume and around it are also skills that are being viewed and evaluated as well.
Also,
Heather?
speak to your, before Heather goes, speak to your field instructors. If you're still in school, I saw some Syracuse and some, Stony Brook and the Delphi. Speak to your field instructors about what you are doing in field and how you will highlight it with your resume. They can help you create a nice, strong resume with what you're doing, because what they're, your field instructors are there to connect what you're doing in the human services field to the competencies related. And then you look at, I guess, whatever jobs you want to do or your second field placements that you want to try to pursue, see how they can beef it up a little bit, or give you some more opportunities, learning opportunities to help add to that resume. Go ahead, Heather.
Wow. Fantastic responses. So I don't work in the field, but I do know, I would like to take what other people just said and talk about how you put it on your resume, which they also mentioned as well. But be super specific, like everybody said. If you've had social work experience or related experience, it's much easier, obviously, to talk about the skills that you have. I think for people who haven't had a lot of helping profession related field work or experiences in their jobs, then you have to take things that you're doing, like if you work at a, in sales or retail or something, then you can say, I became a team leader, I helped resolve conflicts or whatever, I supervised other people. I love what everyone was saying about showing that you're organized, that you I redid this filing system. You'd be surprised how tasks that you might not think show us what skills you're bringing to the table really do. So be specific, and especially if you had even having good relationships with your coworkers, for people who aren't in a social work setting, saying that saying something directly about relationship building at your job, and you were successful in doing that in some way. What else was I hearing? So you guys talk about time management, checking your email, being on time, like these little things. The more details you give, I mean, you don't want to go overboard, right? You don't want to have a paragraph after each job, but you definitely want a couple sentences that say, here's what I did and here's what I was good at. I think that's it.
Yeah, thank you all. So the next question we have for you, and Jacob and I are going to kind of go back and forth asking questions, is how do you recommend addressing, yeah, we could hear you, Heather. How do you recommend addressing any gaps or inconsistencies in a resume or personal statement? For example, some students might have limited professional experiences, or maybe looking at jobs that require like 2 to 3 years of experience. How do you recommend, in these circumstances, how do you recommend students communicate their experience and strengths?
Yeah, I would recommend the student or just acknowledging it right up front, either identifying it in their personal statement or cover letter. Just putting it out there, I think is helpful, and having that candidate just acknowledge why there's gaps, how there's gaps, and what have happened, kind of decreases the guessing of the person reading the resume and needing to ask those questions. I find helpful. And I would, just to piggyback off, Heather, if you're coming with and applying to a position or an internship without that field experience, highlighting those skills, descriptive but concise on how they can transfer into more of a, social work field position is helpful.
I just wanted to add, because I personally experienced this. I had to take a gap year from the field, only because I had to manage going to school full time, having a practicum, and then field placement. So how I did it, I was very brief about it in my cover letter, just to mention that I had to focus on school full time, which is why, I had to take the gap year. And then you can highlight any experience that you had in grad school, which is what I did. I highlighted my time at the NASW, and I highlighted some of the projects that I was working on, just so that they can see that I was working on something significant and I was getting something out of it. And if they have any questions, they can ask about it, like at the interview, which I had a lot of questions on. And turns out people were interested in what I worked on. So honesty is always key. Be direct, be honest, and people will give you a chance.
Yeah, thank you. I see you nodding along, Makisha.
No, it's just being honest, and just highlighting many people. We have a lot of out of the pipeline students who take a break, come back, but I think, as my colleagues have said, highlight it in the graduate essay, highlight it in the cover letters if you are applying for positions, and just make sure that it's organized and succinct, because sometimes we can, looking at a resume, be like, oh, they were at school, or they were time away. So we can see it when we, if you put your education when you graduated, or undergrad, etc. So just be specific and just ask for help.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, everyone. And
Is there anything else you want to add, Heather?
But yeah, I was just repeating what everyone said about addressing it directly. It's in the resume. Like, we see that there's a gap and you don't have an opportunity on the CV to explain it. So we see it. And then if you don't address it in the letter or the essay or personal statement, then that's the worst thing that you can do. So, I mean, know that we see it right on the resume, no matter what. And then, it's if people have things like, I took a year off because I had to work, or those are really kind of straightforward ones. I know some of you out there have more complicated situations. I've had people have like poor grades, and then led to a break from school or something. And then they had to address, why did I have poor grades? And people have given wonderful explanations. You don't go on and on and on about it. I'm telling you, like 3 sentences. This is what happened. I addressed it in this way. As you can see, my grades improved, or, right. And even if it's a personal situation, you can say, I had a family emergency. I had to leave whatever it was that you had a break from school or work, or, where your resume is kind of weak. I had a family situation. I managed it. It ended, and move on. We don't need the details. We don't want to know how horrible it was. But we do appreciate hearing directly, yep, this happened. And then I'm back and I'm really excited about it. Okay, thanks.
It's great. Thank you. Thank you so much. And so, our next question, I think might kind of relate to something you mentioned earlier, Makisha, maybe relating to action verbs and stuff like that. But our students are wondering, what are some key items or terms that make a resume or essay stand out? And conversely, what are some common mistakes students should avoid when creating their resume or essay?
So I did send some action verbs to Nell that we stumble upon, because as we do two resume workshops. We do a basics resume workshop, like with the heading, and usually kind of how your margins should be, et cetera, kind of explaining, resume basics 101. And then we do an individual resume critique where we kind of go in more detail. So I think you should speak more. Some of the action verbs are like, your assessment skills, right? So it's key form to once you have documented and wrote down everything that you have done at your jobs or your internships, then you are going to tailor the beginning of the sentence. I'm not sure if any of you heard, this is kind of how I was taught. You don't want repetitive words. Okay, you don't want to keep saying attended, or done, or organized. You want to try to change the verbs and to kind of make it more specific to the skill. But what I liked for the social work resume, because in so many places you can always find action verbs, but it's kind of hard for our profession sometimes. Like, you want to try to find some counseling, action verbs, or research action verbs. So like analyze, collected, designed for counseling, assisted, co-facilitated workshops, assessment, assess, collaborated, conducted. If you did advocacy, advocated, arranged, composed. Some administrative duties, right? Organized, managed, planned, prepared, reviewed. So those are just some things to just start thinking about what you are doing and how to display it on paper. I think where my students fall short at times, all of you are scholars, all you are my students, is that you do not highlight what you have done. You have done a lot in your placements and in your jobs. Sometimes you just put, less than 3 bullets or less than 4 bullets, and we know that you have done more. So I think that's one key thing is, really think about what you have done and write it down. Some things may be repetitives, like I said, so you have to tighten it up, but don't just put 2 sentences or 2 bullets. We know that you did more, so don't sell yourself short for what you have done. Okay, because your resume, when you are competing with many other social workers, that is that's your first chance, right? So your first impression is your resume for you to get the in-person resume. So you need to sell yourself on that piece of paper or on the screen, on the PDF, but you have to sell yourself on your resume to get that next step.
I will agree. I'll just echo the, concise, descriptive, more than 3 bullets, please. It's an average about 15 to 20 seconds per resume when a hiring manager has multiple resumes to review, or an internship coordinator. So what in that 20 seconds or 15 seconds is going to catch the eye, and what makes you the standout candidate? The organization, the short and concise, the skills, the correct language, the correct action verbs. I like that list. I'm gonna pass that on, hopefully. That can show that hiring manager or internship. We have an internship coordinator here that wants to know more. Here's a little snapshot of me and my accomplishments and my skills, and what's going to make us reach out to you to learn more.
I just also wanted to add, if you're writing a personal statement, it's also good to talk about some difficult experiences that you had, but like put a twist on it. Discuss how you overcame some of the challenges that happen in your life, or how you plan to overcome them. If you're interested in research or you conduct any research, discuss what particularly motivates you, to explore those interests. Just be honest and open about why you're applying to the program in particular, and just go from there.
So Heather, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
Thanks, Nell. The formatting has to be perfect. We look at so many resumes, and if we look and it's messy and it's hard to read. So this is just it's one of my I guess it's one of my pet peeves. If I look at a page and see it's disorganized, I'm going to automatically assume that your work might not be as good as someone whose resume was well organized and easy to read. Okay, but besides the formatting, I just wanted to add that when people, things that make a CV stand out, or a resume stand out, or some of the things Makisha talked about, which are using different words to explain different tasks that you completed or worked on without repeating over and over again. I would actually rather, well, you know what, this is really a personal preference. You've definitely got to have somebody else look at your resume. I personally don't love bullet points. So I would rather, like, if you use a bullet point, that you give me not just like 3 words, developed this program or something, but I'd rather you actually give me a sentence that says, here's what I did specifically. But again, I'm getting bogged down with maybe things that are too little, but if there's millions of bullets, it kind of is overwhelming to try to think I'm going to read every single bullet point in the short time that I'm going to be looking at your resume. So the cleaner, the better, the more descriptive, active, direct language. I love the words that have come up already. I couldn't open the list, but that I've heard people say, developed, prepared, supervised, reviewed, led. Don't forget your relationship skills, relationship building, or the way, in so many words, saying something like, without being asked, I completed this awesome thing at this job, right? Like letting us know you took initiative. I started this little group on my own, or I brought together everyone for a social hour to build, relationship. You know what I mean? Go for it. Especially if that's, just shows that you're, it shows that you have good social skills with that little example that I just gave. But also the other thing I wanted to say was about the personal essay. Do things that we don't want too much detail about your life experiences. Like you want to give a life experience, whether it was challenging or whether it was positive, and move on and make things connect. Right? I started here. This was difficult, but then I did this. I had a mentor who helped me. My family's always supported me. Tell us about your culture, your ethnicity, your any activism work that you do, your passions, your interests. We want to get to know you a little bit. And obviously the writing has to be really, really good, clear, organized, coherent. Definitely have friends read it. Okay, so let me just, for people who were like me, I had no one to help me edit. I had no one to review it for me. I didn't know, I knew that it wasn't going to be very good. So I went to, because I wasn't a good writer before I started grad school. I am now, but I wasn't back then. So I had to take a risk and go to someone and say, can you please read this for me? And my mistake was, here's another good one for you all. I use this, these, that, and those too much. That was just one of my little things. And the person caught it immediately. And I would have never caught it because I didn't know I was doing that. So it's important to have somebody else look at it and get the grammar down. Tell us a good story, but also your goals. Don't forget the future. I want to work with, this population or many different populations, or I'm interested in policy work. Let us know. And don't be afraid to say, I have lots of interests. I'm hoping that grad school will help me sort them out. Right? And if you have any research experience, that's always good to throw in. If you don't, that's okay. You don't need it, but you could say, I'm interested in learning about research. Right? I sometimes read articles, anything. It's all good. Everyone comes in a different place, in a different, this is what makes our field so awesome. Everyone's different. Everyone has different experiences. Try to channel them to social work. How can you convince us that you want to help other people in the world? Okay, I hope that helps. Thanks.
No, Heather, you're amazing and I love your passion. But the big thing that I want to highlight, please read the description, the job description, and make sure that your resumes or whatever you're writing is tailoring to that position. Because many of the hiccups is people are applying, or because we are sending out multiple resumes, it is not matching, especially if you are applying to many schools. Please do not say that you're going to send something to Upstate Medical that you would love to be at the University at Albany School of Social Welfare, because that does happen. So yes, make sure that you do proofread it, reread it. As my colleague Heather said, listen, we're not all starting at the same step, which makes us all unique. All our stories are what makes us in our profession so amazing for those who we serve. So take the risk. The fear is growth, and just ask for help. Go to your writing centers, go to your librarians, just ask for help for people to read it. Because like Heather, I had a colleague, she was another grad student. I had so many red ink sometimes in my papers, and I'm like, I thought I proofread, so please just get that help and assistance.
Yeah, we're gonna have we'll have some questions, probably. We have about 1 or 2 more questions that we're gonna ask, and then we'll let it open to the crowd to ask questions. So sort of jumping off of that, Makisha, and if anybody else wants to sort of share, like, a lot of students do find that they are submitting a lot of resumes or personal statements or cover letters to various, let's say if you're applying to grad schools, various different grad schools. If you're applying to jobs, various different jobs. How important is it to tailor your resume or your personal statement or your cover letter specifically to that grad school or to that job?
Very important.
I think we all couldn't unmute fast enough. Very important.
No, because that's your first impression. You're trying to sell yourself and market yourself of why we should choose you. So why we're going to choose you when you didn't want me in the first place? I'm your second option. But sometimes we are kind and we be like, oh, maybe that was just a typo or error. But no, but that goes back to what Fatumata was talking about, with organization, being detailed, paying attention to detail, etc. Just slow down for a moment, just proofread and make sure. But go ahead, Sarah, if you have something to say. But yeah,
I agree with all of it. It's important. It's even more important. I find at times very frustrating, calling an applicant or an intern and calling from Upstate. And if I have someone on the other line go, what job are you calling about? And know where you're applying, make a list, an Excel spreadsheet, where you sent your resume, where you've applied, where you're seeking an internship, because workplace culture and retention and engagement is very important. So, why do you want to be here with us? And why are you choosing us? Not more so, why are we choosing you? And that's only going to make a successful placement option, a field placement, but also a work option if you choose to apply for a job. So it's important. Read the job description. There's lots of buzzwords in job descriptions on what skills we're looking for, you know, use that to your advantage to review that. And how can you tailor that a little bit? Even if you tailor more your cover letter, not just your resume, just how does your experience, field or no field experience, transfer into this job description? Why are you applying here?
I just wanted to add, because someone who has a lot of experience in the field helped me out with my resume right after graduation. It's always good to have a primary resume where you have everything listed, and then a tailored resume. You go and you read the job description, and then you look at the skills that they're looking for, and then you tailor that resume based on that. But you're already going to have your primary resume, so you just go and you get whatever's there, and then you tailor it. So always have the tool.
Heather,
Yes. Never delete. Don't delete anything that you do. Keep that master list.
you added something in the chat, Heather. I don't know if you want to add anything else out loud. Cool.
If I could add just a little bit more off of Heather, I think that's also important. It's very impressive when you have an applicant either research your website, research the community, research resources, and bring that either to their cover letter or a phone call or the full-on interview that occurs. It's very impressive. Even if we have applicants at times, you know, they're going to school at SU, so they're going to intern here, but they don't live here. And so just researching the community that you're going to have this experience in is very impressive of a student.
Yeah, thank you. So we have one more question Jacob's going to ask, and then we'll open it up to the audience if you do have questions. So get their questions ready. So pass it over to Jacob.
Yeah, so I think we've I think we've kind of touched on this a little bit already, but I'll just go through it anyways, and if you guys can expand upon it, anything to add. So when crafting a personal statement for graduate school applications, what are the most important points to convey to showcase a passion for social work? And additionally, in crafting these personal statements, how do you all recommend balancing self-promotion and humility as well as storytelling, all without oversharing? And yeah.
I'll give
I
that
think
to
it's
Heather
oh,
and Sarah, both of
is
y'all.
Heather
I'll
going
give
for
it to y'all. Either y'all.
Go ahead, Sarah.
Oh, okay. I was gathering my thoughts. I was ready, but now I'm ready again. You know, the most important points, you know, going back to tailoring for either the field placement or the job is important, but also think about, you know, what's a rewarding experience or accomplishments that you have, or maybe some challenging experiences, and how does that drive you and motivate you to work in the social work field? You know, we all want to help people. We get that, you know, response a lot. I want to help people. But how do you want to help people, and what drives you to help people? And there's many different people. So narrow down if you can. If you can't, that's okay. But I just think about upstate where we have a pediatric clinic, we have a geriatric clinic, we have a refugee clinic, we have critical care, there's so many different populations that you can explore and work with. So it's okay not to know. But just to highlight why are you passionate about how you got so far and what success you may have and could share.
Should I jump in now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, we have talked a bit about the personal statement before. I'm thinking specifically for graduate school applications. I guess it can fit for other things too. Yeah. Sarah was right. Most people will say, I want to help people. And, you know, that's okay. What's important is what comes after that, because all social workers want to help people. So it's not that it's bad to say that. It's just that then you have to, you know, tell us your story in an interesting, you know, brief way. And and it's true. Most of the personal statements I read, at least for grad school, say something like, my family, this happened to me, or this happened to my family, something, we were immigrants, or we dealt with alcoholism, whatever it is, whatever the personal issue is. It doesn't have to be challenging or tragic. It can be beautiful. It can be either or. But the point is that part is short. Right? This thing happened to me and it made me interested in this. And so what I did was I started taking courses in this. I worked here, I worked there. I read every article I could about the topic. I got to know people, right? Bring it forward. Now I want to come to your school so that you can help me take this passion even further. So the personal stuff is pretty brief, right? Some people's are a little longer. I don't want to make you feel, I don't want to be too rigid about it, but it's woven into a story that talks about the future and how our school is going to help you meet that desire that you have. So let's see, what are the most important points to convey? So I think it's really neat if you could say, I'd like to take courses in this topic and this topic. I said something before a little bit about research. If that's what you're interested in, say it. If you're not, that's okay. And don't be afraid to say something I don't know a lot about, but I want to learn about, right? You can place things that you're, areas that you're of growth that you're seeking in addition to things you want to build on. You can do both. Most important points to convey: your motivation, your interest in our school and in social work, right? Those are two different things. You don't have to have a specific population you want to work with, but you might be interested in, think about someone, the difference between what someone might say who wants to be a therapist versus someone who wants to go into politics or be an advocate or do macro or policy work, or get a PhD, right? You're all going to have different pathways to these outcomes. So the more information that you can provide that's related to your ultimate goal, great. And again, it's okay to say, I'm not sure what I'll be doing 20 years from now. You wouldn't say it like that, but I'm not sure exactly what I want to do, but here's what I'm interested in learning about now. Don't be afraid to, you know what I mean? Don't be afraid to talk about, to be unsure. But still show us your passion and motivation for seeking a graduate degree, right? Not everybody does it. It's a unique experience, and we want to know how it's going to help you. I hope that made sense. Thanks.
That was great. Thank you. Does anyone have anything else to add? Okay, thank you. I feel so motivated after that. I feel like ready to write my resume and my personal statements now. So, with that being said, I believe we're going to open it up now for questions to the audience if anybody has anything they'd like to ask.
Yes, you're welcome to type in the chat or raise your hand. Oh, I see we already have somebody with their hand up. So I see Marianne, you're welcome to unmute. And if other folks, you're welcome to either type in the chat or raise your hand as well.
Hello.
Hello.
I am writing my resume and I graduated in May with my master's in social work and I just passed my license exam. So now is the hard part. I need to write my resume so that I am not the target of ageism. This is my second career. And I don't want to present a resume with experience going back 35 years. What do I do?
Let me turn off my video.
Is there an expert panel on social workers, second career, how to reduce?
Yeah, you're not alone, Marianne. You are not alone, my friend. And there is a way to craft a resume that de-emphasizes your early work and overemphasizes your most recent work. So it's not that you take out all of your wonderful years of experience. It's just that they're not as lengthy. You order it, so do most recent at the top, and then you can even list other previous experience and just bam, 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 and don't give explanations about it. Leave the explanations and the details for the most recent work. And then in your cover letter, say, yeah, I am a badass woman who's had a lot of life experiences, and here's what I can do for you. That's it. Show your energy, your motivation, and that's it. You've got it.
I agree.
Oh,
That's what you
that
got to
sounds
do.
wonderful.
Yeah, that's what you have to do. You have to do related experience and probably other experience. It's just about tailoring it, but don't let that stop you. And congratulations.
Well, yeah, I must say that the ageism issue, I'm aware of it because I'm twice the age of my cohort mates. And so, but I've worked in a social work setting for the last 10 years in a psychiatric hospital. And I found out that that was probably the best 10 years of experience I have logged in so far. So I want to use that to my advantage, but I'm just hoping that um, age is not going to come through when somebody looks at my resume and they see, well, all these years she's got to be. So closing thought, you would advise me to.
I'm
Yeah.
thinking, I mean, you'll have a cover letter as well. So you can kind of like explain and explain a little bit of your history and where you are now and why you are interested in going for this position. You've been in human services area for 10 years. So highlight that and just be strong and just be
I will do.
confident. And you know what? Whatever opens its doors for you and be a good fit for you will be a good fit for you. Don't be deterred by the doors that close. There's going to be many more that are going to open. So wherever people embrace you, it's all about opening that door with your resume and your cover letter, and then the interview process. But don't be discouraged. Keep pushing. You need it.
Thank you. Thank you. That's good words of hope for me. Doing this in such a way so that I don't give myself a lot of time or options. I passed the license exam. So this is all that's left, and the interviewing. And that's the hard part. So I will take that advice. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marianne. Seems like, Lisa also mentioned this resonates a lot with her. And so, congrats on getting all the way to your licensure, and yeah, best wishes and the kind of next steps. I see Sophia, you have your hand up, so you're welcome to unmute.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Okay. Thank you for all your great thoughts. I'm not affiliated with any school right now. I'm here in my own whim trying to get into grad school. I have had a resume that seems to have served me well. And it was like only one page, and it was 3 bullet points each with all, like the buzzwords and stuff. With some of the stuff you guys are saying, I'm wondering, like, would it serve me to include like every single experience I have and like add more detail, and it would be over 1 page? I don't want it to like, because I've always heard like keep it 1 page. I'm not sure. That's why I wanted to ask.
I would say keep it under 3 pages. If you have a lot of experience, then add your experience. If you, especially experience you can speak to if you're in an interview or you're writing your personal statement or getting into grad school. We see lots of resumes that are longer than 1 page. And just keep it organized and concise. But if you go over 1, that's fine. I would keep it under 3 would be my recommendation.
And it's also about font and margins and things like that. But think about it as you are applying to programs. We as the field office have to try to get you an internship. So as much information to try to help us help you and say this is an amazing candidate to learn and grow in your agency, please provide that. Yeah, especially I think it depends on your audience, right? You're applying for us at a school. If you're applying to schools, we want to see a CV or, you know, some more meat of what you've been doing. So you know, as you keep wanting to pursue your degree in human services. So just know your audience. But yes, mainly most of the time for like other occupations, it's usually 1 page. But I believe for us, no more than 3. We don't want a whole book, but yeah, but like have some meat. Show us what you've been doing.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Other questions or anybody else?
I'm just excited to see a lot of, especially Marianne, after your comment, a lot of people, you're giving them hope too, because the imposter syndrome is key, and it doesn't matter if you're 20 or if you're in your 40s or your 50s. But I just want to just remind you all, wherever stages you are in, remain a student learner. Remain to have your student learner hat and be willing to grow. Don't ever feel that you know everything, because we all don't. Your supervisor can learn from you and you can learn from your supervisor. So just take this as a growing experience. And that's what I just urge you as you are taking this next step and this next leap, is your willingness to learn, but also share your experience too, because you can teach others and educate them. So that's why I encourage you also.
I love that. If there's no other questions, happy to go around to the other, panelists and, hear any sort of last thoughts you have or any last ideas that you'd like to share with the group.
I just want to say thank you for inviting me. This was exciting for me just to hear, the field office and what those resumes look like. And I wrote my personal statement several years ago. So, what needs to be in it, today. But it's exciting. We implemented a resume writing and interviewing skills session for our interns here at Upstate last year, and it was very well received. We weren't sure if interns would be interested in that. So just helping building their resume here while they're here as an intern, and start talking about those interviewing skills and preparing them for the next stage. I would agree. Keep learning. I love learning. I love learning from the interns. I love learning from the staff and different disciplines. I think that just keeps it exciting. This profession is always growing as well. So we don't always know everything. But thank you so much for having me this evening, and all the participants. It's been wonderful. And good luck on your next stage, wherever you're going.
Thank you for inviting us. I actually learned a lot myself today. So thank you for that to all the other panelists. And also do not be afraid when you go to the interview, market yourself, and you never know who's going to give you a chance. I got a job in a field that I have absolutely no experience in, but I went in with, I was very determined. I sold myself, told them that, I'm a very quick learner, and, I got the job. And I can say that I don't know everything about the job, but I'm definitely at the point where I don't need constant supervision. So just speak up.
Heather, would you like
Thanks,
to?
everyone. Oh, thanks, Nell. Thanks, everyone. This was a lot of fun. I'm so happy to be here. And I guess I'll just add one more thing about your resume, which if you go to grad school, we call a CV a curriculum vitae, but in either one, you can just think of it as a living document. And I would just I have one on my, that I saved that's called like updating, like, Horton CV for updating. And every time something happens, like even being a panelist tonight, I'll open that document and I'll add it. So I recommend you all doing the same, because a lot of things you might do, or people you might help, or volunteer work, or just little things that you do in your community, you might not think to add it to your resume, and it really looks good to add that stuff. So think of it as a living document that'll grow and change as you grow and change. And some things that are highlighted now will not be highlighted 5 years from now. And that's okay, because that's just how our careers go in this work. But put everything on there. And I think, like anything, people really do like to understand a little bit about who you are. And so don't be afraid to add little personal touches to each part of your package, the resume, the cover letter, the personal statement, again, without oversharing and going on, but still giving us a little bit of your heart. It's really fun to read those types of documents. And thanks again. This was great.
I just want to say thank you to Jacob and now. I didn't say thank you. Just thinking of little old me being on this panel. So I appreciate you. And I hope all of you gained some helpful information. But Heather, thank you for helping us. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, we should be updating our resume. And just like you, I still have my resume from when I was in grad school. It's a living document, and you tailor it for everything. So I hope these pointers were key.
Yeah. And yeah, thank you all for all of your really awesome contributions. And somebody posted in the chat, the panelists get the Spirit Award. Thank you. I love that. So sort of wrapping up, we do have, lots of upcoming student series stuff. So keep your eye out. I just posted the link there. And if you'd like to do the survey, we have a survey for today's event, as well as at the end of that survey, if you'd like to join, get on the email list for future SLC Student Leadership Committee meetings, which is the committee that helps plan out events like this. That's the survey where you can add in your info there too. Let's see, otherwise, it looks like we have lots of folks, typing in the chat saying thank you. Laura is saying, as a first generation college student, this was really, helpful and resourceful. So yeah, really awesome to hear. So thank you again, Heather, Makisha, Fatumata, Sarah, Jacob.
Thanks now.
Bye,
everyone.
thank you.